Hi, Vanessa here, and welcome back to my channel. Today I have a special author interview for you. Our guest is an award-winning writer joining us from Barbados, whose book, The Girl with the Hazel Eyes, was recently featured in the Oprah magazine as books to read to celebrate Caribbean American Heritage Month. Please give a warm welcome to Callie Browning.
Hello,
How are you?
I'm doing really great.
I am so excited to be talking to you today. For our audience who are familiar with your work, do you mind sharing a little bit about us of who is Callie Browning?
Well, I tell people all the time I'm the consummate night owl. I hate sleeping, so I'm always up at all hours cooking and writing and doing things that I should be doing when the sun is up. And when you live in a Caribbean country, you should be outside when the sun is up, because there's always sun, but I don't know what my excuse is. Um, so that's me in a nutshell. I like writing, I like cooking, I like eating. I just like art on a whole. That's me.
Well, I think they say that that's true about artists, like how your mind is always working.
Mhm.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't have like a time clock or whatever time of day it is. Like, do you ever in the middle of the night get an idea? And you're like, oh, I have an idea, and write it
Many
down?
times.
Yeah.
It's almost like you're being stalked by an idea, if that
Right.
makes sense. It just shows up and it's like, pay me attention. So yeah, that does happen.
I love that. And I think that's what makes like writers so magical. You have this intense vision or this great idea and it just comes at all times of the day. And I was just letting you know, I think writers are brilliant. They're
Thank
geniuses.
you.
Just to take something, a spectacle of an idea and put it onto paper. But I know you're a powerhouse. I follow you on Instagram, and you are not only a great writer, but you're an avid reader as well. So,
Yeah.
can you let us know what some of your favorite genres or books are?
Well, I've always been a huge fan of fantasy stuff. I very much like, I know J.K. Rowling's under some fire right now because of some comments she made, but
Right. Hmm.
I still feel like very much like Harry Potter is something that
Well, you're a
I
Ravenclaw, right?
yes,
Yes.
Ravenclaw, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Me too.
Yeah, because that's him. Really? Yay!
Yes.
So I feel very much like I have the utmost respect for how she created that world that is so consistent and so well thought out for 7 whole books. That is so incredible to me. In terms of her literary stamina for that, I can't take that from her. I also love, I love historical books. No matter, I find once I get a really great historical book, I'm very, very happy. Right now, I'm currently reading Washington Black. And what I love about it is that it's set in Barbados for the first half of it. So it's really interesting to read about my country from this other angle in the 1800s. And, because I've read other books that are set here, but they're a different time period. So
Hmm.
I just really love historical fiction. That's my favorite genre of all. I wouldn't mind a historical romance sometimes, but yeah, it usually tends to be something historical. I find I tend to gravitate towards, and that's what I write as well.
Imagine you did a historical romance fantasy book,
I know, right?
taking all your favorite genres and just putting it together.
That is
That would.
actually something that I kind of playing around with, but that's going to be like 3 books from now. I already have the next like 9 books planned out in my mind, which makes no sense. I just really need to write faster or something.
Well, you have 24 hours a day and you like to stay up, so come on. But
I'll
all
work on
kidding
it.
aside, we
Mhm.
were connected because I was able to read The Girl with the Hazel Eyes, which is
Mhm.
your most recent book that was published last year. And wow, I mean, we did it as a buddy chat, so there was a lot to talk about. It spoke to me on a very personal level as well. It was my first time reading about the Caribbean culture. Can
Mhm.
you tell us a little bit about The Girl with the Hazel Eyes?
For sure. So it's about Susan Taylor, who is a reclusive author. She wrote a tell-all whistleblowing book that really shook down the country's political system and got the first government thrown out of office. It led to the federal arrest, no less, of a high ranking official. She and her family had to leave the island. It was a whole to do. By the way, this is fiction. Just let me state that. Um, so, because a lot of people actually do Google these characters to figure out what happened to them afterwards. I
Well,
get
just
that
to be
so much.
honest, the first 3 pages, I already highlighted the book that Susan Taylor had written. And I had saved it in my notes. I was like, okay, look up this book.
I'm sorry.
and
Oh
then
my gosh.
and then when we had our buddy chat and you told us that it wasn't real, I was like, oh gosh, like
I'm sorry so much. I don't know how to make it any more clear. I keep saying, yeah, but it's fiction. Oh my gosh. And so, but everybody says it's so real and it's so rich. They can't believe that I made it all up, which says a
Well,
lot about my mind, really.
and you did exactly that. So the first, I think I had made so many notes that said, okay, look this up, look back and ask her about this. And then when you had shared with us that it wasn't real, I was like, oh man, I didn't want to say it in the group chat that I thought it was.
No, honestly, I get that so much you would not believe it. I mean, so many people message me and say, what happened to Susan? I was like, well, I made it all up, so I'm sorry. I do weave facts and fiction, I admit. So like certain dates are true, like the actual dates of our independence and like the political stuff, all of that is true. But the actual characters, they're all completely made up.
And I think
So
that's fun that you did, you took something from your imagination, but you were able to marry it with true facts as well.
Mhm.
And how does that make you feel when readers tell you, oh gosh, like I thought it was real? Like, are you surprised? Are you happy? Like, how does that as a writer make you feel?
I think, you know what? I think it makes me very, very proud because I think it's easy to write a nonfiction. I think it's easy to write fiction as well because, you kind of can stay true to something. But I think when you have to marry the two, it becomes a very delicate balancing act where you can't tamper with certain things. Their integrity has to remain. But then, you still want the fiction to still be so rich that it's seamless. So to me it's really hard in some ways. I don't even know why I do it to myself, but I love it, and it's something that I just really enjoy being able to fuse the two. That's how I feel, at least.
I read your reviews, and a lot of people in our group were saying they cried over reading your book. That is the impact that you're having on readers. And you do that through so much of like you said, your vivid imagery, the way that you build these characters up. I mean, like I said, authors are brilliant. You guys are geniuses.
Yeah.
And so that's amazing. And thank you for doing that, for bringing them to life.
Well, thank you for feeling them and for embracing them, because that is true testimony to me putting myself into them, and to people, taking them on and loving them the way I do. So that means a lot.
Well, speaking of your characters, I mean, this is the first time I've read about set in Barbados, about the Caribbean culture. It's helped me learn a lot while I was reading your book. Like, do you think it's more easier or more challenging to write about your own culture?
I'm on the inside trying to be on the outside and look in. So it is kind of challenging, but I found like what really instructed me, kind of taking my culture and looking at it from the outside, was just simple conversations with the people around me. So like I would talk to my friends and I would realize like how they say certain things, or like even I remember once watching a movie and thinking to myself, we would never do that here. Like, so because I'm able to like compare it to like, exterior cultures, it's easier to kind of look at how we do things and how we say things and how we think about things. Because one thing I found that is really prominent in the Caribbean culture, no matter how grim things get, we find a joke in every single thing. And that really just, I think some of that is reflected in my book as well. I know there was some crying, yes,
Absolutely. Yeah,
but a lot of people
absolutely.
said this was like this could have been such a depressing story, but I never felt depressed. And I hear a lot of people say that, and that makes me feel good too.
Well, there was a lot of like, and I don't want to give too much away, but there was a lot of tragic events that happened that could bring people down. But so many of them, like you said, the community was really resilient. Your
Yes.
characters were resilient, and you found these pockets of happiness.
Mm-hmm.
sprinkled throughout the book when, and maybe this is not a surprise, but when you said like there was a hurricane that brought down a lot of the people's houses,
Yeah.
it was a community getting together, trying to rebuild and helping each other out. So
Mhm.
absolutely, I thought the people were very resilient in this book.
Yeah. Well, that actually did happen. That is one thing that did happen. Hurricane Janet did happen. And it did devastate the country. And during my research, I did find that there were so many occults of community spirit and just so many people, like how, because after that, not to really give away anything, like you said, but they were taken in by another family, and a lot of that happened as well. And it just goes to show that this is just my people. This is
Mhm.
a Caribbean culture, and this is how we treat each other, and this is how we try to be kind to each other. Um and it is beautiful, and I think when you have that kind of beauty always lurking underneath it, things don't seem so hard anymore.
Yeah, and I love that overall message of the book, that takeaway, that when you have people, that things, no matter how dire things do seem, you have your people.
Of course.
But because you had to, do so much research for the book, I mean, I
Mhm.
can imagine it was a long process. What was like your most and least favorite aspect about the research process?
I don't think I had a least favorite. It The research probably took me about a year. I think I loved every aspect of it. Probably what I didn't like was second guessing myself,
Mm. Yes.
because there were times that I was like, uh, is this going to be like too much? Is this going to be like too dorky to put in, or like, do I really,
Wait,
yeah,
so are we
there's
imagining
too much.
you at the library, or are you interviewing people? Are you watching clips? Like, what type of
Everything.
everything? So you were
Everything at
just,
the library. Yeah,
yeah.
no, I wasn't just sitting at my computer. At the library, on the computer, on YouTube. My godmother, she lived to 101, and
Wow.
yeah, I actually referenced a lot of her stories in this book. She died a month ago, so
Sorry to hear that.
that's
But how
okay. She was
amazing
just
that
a
you were
girl,
able to spend that time with her and kind of pull
for
these stories
sure,
from her.
for sure. Yeah, because I mean, it was really just like, I didn't even really ask her anything, because she just, how it is with people that age. They just talk and tell you everything. So
Yeah.
it's like, so like she can really give you like all kinds of stories from back in the 30s, the 40s, the 50s, the 60s, the 70s. I mean, coming right up. So when you have that wealth of knowledge, you just want to listen. You don't even really care. So
Well, for our
that was
readers
really good.
who haven't read the book yet, it is set in, dual timelines, between the
Yeah.
past and the present.
Hmm.
And that's what really kept me on my toes.
Really?
I had to pull back. I was so immersed in the 50s and 60s, the
Hmm.
story that you were telling, and then when we flipped back to the modern day, I had to really adjust. Like okay, now we're back in
Really?
the modern
Oh,
day, right?
oh,
Um,
geez.
but
Hmm.
because you took us through a range of time,
Hmm.
and we were watching, this family evolve and grow, that's what I
Hmm.
liked best about the stories, because you were able to kind of gauge what age they were at that time, how they were feeling. But later on, when they were older, um, you got something different as well. So
Yeah.
that's pretty awesome.
Thank you. But you know what? The thing is, like you said, you have to really engage the characters and see what it is what their frame of mind would be at the time and that type of thing. So that could become, I don't want to say hard, but you have to think about it a little differently.
Well, especially because you have such a huge range of characters in the book, and they all kind of
Mhm.
represent something different and symbolic, I want to say. Like,
Yes.
you had to step into the shoes of so many different, I mean, you had people who were villains, you had people who were, the town's loved boy, and like you have just so
Hmm.
many different characters. Like,
Hmm.
which character was the most fun to write for you?
Oh my gosh, for sure. And I know I say this all the time. Ignatius Grimes was my most fun character. I love him the most because the thing is, look, I really regret, like, he has the most incredible backstory. But then I was like, I hadn't so much of it. And then I thought to myself, you know what? I don't want to, I think with him, less is more. And I
You're
cut out
right.
so much of it just so that then, because the thing is, when he shows up, then listen to him because it's like, oh my God, he's here. What is he going to do now? As
Right. Who is
opposed to,
this guy, and what is his power
exactly.
really?
Everybody kept saying to me, he's so wicked. And I said, he is not. And that's what I love about him. He is someone who goes right to the edge of morality, skirts a long way, and he never gets caught. He's never ever guilty for doing anything because he always covers his trails. He's clever, and I think that's what makes him my favorite, because I honestly had to work so much harder with him and look up a lot of laws and do a lot of research.
Even the name Ignatius Grimes.
Yes.
Just the name alone.
Exactly. I wanted his name to spell trouble without saying he's trouble.
Well, his first appearance in the book was really bold. And I'm not going to give it away for the readers, but it was really bold, the way that he just, kind of inserted himself into the book. Yep. And you set the tone and the bar really high for, what he kind of represented overall in the book.
Like you said, and that's really hard to do, because you have to really strike that balance. You don't want to tell somebody, oh, this is the bad guy, here he comes.
Yeah.
But like you said, I had to make him very bold. I was like, what would somebody who's so brassy, what would they do?
You completely nailed that scene.
Thank you. God.
It was one of the standout scenes for me.
Really? Oh
yeah,
gosh.
Yeah. Well, because I can imagine how I would feel if I was on. Well, anyways, not to give away too much.
Exactly. No, I agree.
But speaking of range of characters, there's also range of many themes. You touched on everything, ranging from political, feminism, coming of age, romance, like you name it. Like, did you set out with that intent for this book to bring so many important topics to the table?
Well, I didn't. And I know this is going to sound kind of backwards, but when I was writing it, I think only because I realized as I went along it was turning into a coming of age story, because I'm what they call a pantser or a discovery writer. So I don't really think too much about it beforehand. It really happens as I write. And I realized as it was becoming this coming of age story that it was going to have a lot of themes, because coming of age stories really tend to run the gamut, because you're discovering yourself, and the world is unfolding before your very eyes. So I didn't mean to, but given the time frame, it was impossible not to touch on so many issues, because in the 50s and 60s, that's when women's lib and people of color were really, things started to shift for them. And obviously that had to reflect in her experiences and in all the characters' experiences as well.
Yeah, so, well, when I was, like I said, I was writing notes because I knew we were going to talk about it. And I'm like, oh, wait, and then this happened. And then this, like, at one time I'm focused on the political part of it, because that was a large part of the book. But then I also really love that I got some romance in. And that's, you have those like heart melting moments. And I
love them too.
Yeah, and I was like, oh. And after a while, when I had written down the themes, like, there's so many here.
Yeah, as I didn't set out to say, you know what, I'm going to make this book so political and romantic, and it just happened, and somehow I don't know why, but it still works. You know what I mean? Because sometimes
absolutely,
you feel like people cram themes in, and then it's like you're trying to teach me a lesson, and I don't like it. But I still felt like mine was a natural marriage for me, at least.
It absolutely felt natural. All the themes, other than the political one, were really subtle in that I had to reflect on it. There are certain things that happen that you didn't spell out for us.
No, exactly.
Got this feeling and this tiny snippet of scenes, like between Susan and her father, and Susan's father and her mother Grace. These little scenes that you painted, you didn't spell it out for us, but I walked. There are some where I had heavy heart, just thinking of the challenges that Susan had faced, and so I thought you did that beautifully. And there were a lot of hard scenes in this book as well. You didn't shy away from that. Like, what was the hardest scene to write?
For sure, the one that reflects violence against women. I mean, my heart was pounding. I felt a little teary. I felt angry. I felt we shouldn't have to worry about these things, you know. And it's sad that women have to go out with this cloud over their head all the time, and I didn't want to hammer it home so much, but still it felt, you know, like something that upset me. So yeah, that upset me.
And even
And that was
60,
probably
70
the time.
years later, you know, we still
Still,
have this. We
still,
still
still,
have this.
still. Yeah.
Just if not as much as before, people are still openly doing these type of like horrendous acts. I think it changed Susan, you
Yeah,
know,
I
after
did.
that night. So yeah, that
Mm.
I agree with you. That was the hardest scene to read, and I can
Mhm.
imagine it was hard to write.
It was hard to write, but you know what? Somebody asked me in another book club meeting. They said, but you know, it didn't end the way I thought it would. And I said, well, you know what? I hope, it is my hope that if it ever does come to that, that it does end that way for everybody. That's my little soapbox right there. I don't know, you know, that's my
Yeah.
hope. You know what I
But
mean?
and you know, even if it didn't, I mean, I love the way that you kind of again didn't spell it out,
Yeah.
but it shows that even though it didn't end that way, Susan was still so impacted, so
Yes.
affected by it psychologically.
Hmm.
Um, and that's the true sadness of it, that, you know, what
Yeah.
could happen, what doesn't happen, you still have that, that
It's
feeling
still
that
enough.
never went away. It's
Yes,
not enough.
of
Yeah, it's
course.
not
It's still
enough.
enough. Yeah.
You know, because you had such a range of characters, there were so many themes. You make
Hmm.
people cry. Have you read any of your book reviews? I mean, as an author, how do you deal with, you know, reading challenging feedback? Or, and you were so great in our, like when we did a buddy chat, you were so transparent. You answered everyone's questions. I mean, I'm a little bit, you know, I'm not an author, but I would imagine that I would have a hard time reading reviews. Is that what it's like for you, or do you think it's more beneficial to your writing process?
I read every one that I get.
You do?
Every single one. And I say all the time, this is a book is a community effort. I can write as
Mm.
much as I want, but unless people read it, I've done nothing. Um, and I want people to come back to me and say, well, look, I like this, or I didn't like this. This really drove me crazy. I wish you wouldn't do this. Because it helps me to grow. It helps the art form to grow. And it also creates conversations that need to happen. Um, because, you know, then we can talk a little bit more about the fact that, because like how some people ask me in the group, in the buddy chat, you know, why isn't your book certain places? And, you know, the reality is that as an indie author, I face different challenges.
Mm.
And sometimes, you know, we need to have these conversations so that then there could be, you know, pressure in the right places and things can change. So unless we have this nice open discourse, nothing changes. So I read everyone. I don't get upset because everybody has something valuable to say, and I don't take it personally. And I know I have a friend who says, I don't know how you do it, but to me it's always helpful. And oddly enough, I haven't gotten any really bad reviews, so I don't know. I
And
don't
I
know.
can't imagine that you would. I mean, reading your book, I can't imagine what people could say. And I love your attitude about it, because there are some authors who say, this is my art, this is it, just take it or leave it, you know? And as a reader, I really do believe that a book is a community. And
Yep.
we absolutely respect your vision, absolutely respect, you know, what you're doing. But at the same time, we have questions.
Of course,
We have
because you're
questions.
investing in the community. You're part of the community.
Yeah. You know, people had said, and I don't think it's a negative review, but the ending felt rushed compared
Yeah.
to the pace of the story. You know, how we were taken on this like beautiful journey of
Mhm.
Susan. What would be your response to that? That the ending felt rushed?
You know, I said this before, and I'm kind of still, I don't want to say battling with it, but it's always kind of made me wonder, because I'm indie, I do everything myself. So sometimes I don't have the eyes that a traditionally published author would. You know, I don't have, you know, somebody to say, well, this is a little rushed. So I think what happened for sure was the ending was longer. it was more drawn out. But then I thought to myself, oh geez, I feel like I've taken them on this long-winded journey. I don't want readers to get bored now. So I second guessed myself, and I really do kind of regret it because I deleted everything that I took out.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, I know, and I'm really like, oh geez, like I really felt like, you know what, I have to trust my instincts a little bit more, and maybe kind of, you know, get look. This time I do have some people who said, you know, we'll look over the book for you, and you know, so that we don't have that issue. Um, yeah, but I do feel like I don't know if it was rushed. I mean, like sometimes I like books that wrap up neatly. I don't know. I don't know. Like,
Personally, I don't think it was rushed. And I don't want to spoil anything, but I didn't think it was rushed at all. But I like that you said that you're involving readers in your process as well. I mean, just self-publishing, being an indie author, you're wearing the hat of like 5 to 6 people, you know,
easily,
easily, if not more. And I can't
not more.
imagine just the amount of time and commitment it takes to do all these things. So I applaud that. I think that's amazing. And before I got into Bookstagram, I'm ashamed to say that I didn't know too many indie authors. You know, we don't get access to that. And I think a lot of people, you know, are more aware nowadays with social media, or I'm a little bit more educated on how the process works. You know, I'd love to know, how do you support an indie author? What are the best ways a reader can support you? Buying your book,
for sure,
sharing
for
your
sure.
book. What would be valuable to you as an
Review,
author?
a review for
Reviews?
sure. Reviews for sure. Because I think people think it's indie, so it's like, you know, a self-indulgent exercise, and it's not any good. But there are really great indie authors out there. And sometimes we just need a chance. And the more reviews we have that say, look, this is a good book, the more that helps.
So what
What
platforms like would be the best to review on? Like the top 3 platforms that you think would really highlight your book and your work?
Oh, I love this question. Instagram, Amazon, and Goodreads for sure. Those are like my holy trinity right there.
Okay, we heard that, readers. Instagram, Amazon, and Goodreads.
Yes, for sure.
I think readers need to know that too. When you find an author you really connect with, you love their work, you know, I want to know what is the best way that we can support you, so that, you know, we're waiting for your next book. I just want you to know that.
Thank you. Well, it's coming. It's coming. I'm working on it. So I'm very excited about it. Actually, I'm very excited about the next 3 because I'm working on 2 right now. So
I'm actually really happy to hear that you said the next 3, and then in the beginning you said there was 9 more planned.
one of them is, I can't see how I can write it unless I write 6 of them. I know that sounds really bizarre. This one I'm writing right now, this is almost finished. And then I have 2 more to write after that one. That would be kind of like in the same vein. But the one that I talked about earlier that has 6 parts to it, that's more like a YA fantasy thing. So it's going to be set here as well. So it's going to be, like, I already love it. I mean, I'm so crazy about it. I don't know.
Well, I can feel the energy and the happy vibes coming through.
Yeah, I'm actually jiggling. Yeah.
Are you going to be using the same designer as the girl with the hazel eyes? Because that cover is gorgeous. It's so captivating. I mean, it captured the essence of the story. Like, what kind of direction did you give your designer? Because one of the most gorgeous book covers I have seen.
Thank you. Well, I don't need to tell you. As you said, it has so much going on with it, but still somehow it doesn't look confused. You know, I wanted to show the relationship between the 2 women, but then I also wanted to be Barbadian, and then I also wanted to still be very simple, but I still wanted to reference the tell-all novel that she wrote in her journal. So it's like, I would hate to see him reading that email. I'm glad he did it by email. I mean, I don't want to see this man's face, but you know, it alludes to all of them. I mean, he is such a genius, and I already have the 6-page outline for my upcoming novel for the cover for that book. I have that written already. So it's 6 pages
as a
long.
designer, the more information that's given,
yeah,
probably helped in his process of designing it too. You just have this book cover that you can be so proud of to display. You
I
know, you
love
see
it.
it all over Instagram and it's
Mhm.
gorgeous. Like just
It is so
hashtag,
good.
just search up the hashtag the girl with the hazel eyes and you'll see so many
It
beautiful
is.
pictures of your book. I think,
Yeah, it is.
oh, that's amazing. You have 2 to 3 books coming up, 9 that you're
Mhm.
planning. Like as a writer, I know you said you stay up often, but like, do you have like a routine, like a special drink, a room, an outfit that like to really get you in the mood? Like this is my writing time, or this is my creative time. These are my special pants. You know, like anything like
I,
that.
I like I don't know why, but I like to read, have pancakes, and then go and write.
I love that.
While I'm eating the pancakes, I like to read and something else, and then I like to go and start to write. And I don't. I mean, I wish I had like a really nice author space, but I literally sit on the floor of my bedroom and write in a corner. It is so pathetic, and that's where I write.
I mean, I'm trying to imagine you right now doing that. And I think that's awesome. You know, you have this little like creative. Well, some people think like I need, an office and all that stuff, right? But really, when it comes down to it, like you said, these ideas are flowing from your fingers, and you can't stop
Yes.
it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you hear that? Aspiring writers, make those pancakes. It's a good excuse to
Cassava
eat
pancakes.
pancakes.
And good, exactly. Cassava pancakes. I like mine's loaded. Actually, you know what? I have a recipe for that. I'll send you that too. They're so delicious. So I like to load them. I like to fry an egg and put on top. I like to
Mm.
char my tomatoes and some chives and put it with some maple syrup, and it is the best thing ever.
And not only are you a brilliant writer, you're a chef. Okay, yeah, I think, and I love following on Instagram because I just discovered your recipes highlight.
Yeah, and I do share them in my newsletter sometimes. So
Yeah,
yeah,
tell
because
us about your
people always like,
newsletter, The Muse, right?
yes, I call it Muse. It's really like a passion project for me. I started it. Well, really, the intention is to really talk a little bit more about, well, not really diverse reads, but just really interesting, underserved reads. So I do share a lot of other indies there, and there are tons of freebies. So, like last month, for example, I shared a link to 80 free books. You could have,
Wow.
yeah, you could have downloaded as many as you wanted. So stuff like that. And then like if like I have a special, because I had a special on my book last month where it was 99 cents. So like stuff like that I share. I also share like what I'm reading, what I'm cooking. I shared some poetry by another indie poet the other day. It was really good. I mean, I just like art, like I said, and I just want to share stuff that just feels fun. I mean, like even the newsletter, it has it's not even like a newsletter. I have it, I call it my luxury literary magazine. So I do like a
I love
magazine cover
that.
and everything. Yeah, so it has like a magazine cover and everything, and I always go out and shoot these really fun pics. So then like when you're reading it, it transports you. It's fun. But it's still not very long. It's like a 7-8 minute read. And then there's, like I said, there's always something in it for the readers, like tons of freebies, lots of great indies. I mean, I shared some diverse reads in the last one because that's what's hot right now. Yeah, and I shared the like 3 top secrets to finding diverse reads in that issue as well.
So
So,
how often does it come out, and what day do we like? Would you normally push it out of the month?
well, it's like once a month because like sometimes if I'm writing, I mean, again, in this thing where I write, I'm like, oh shoot, I forgot to send out the newsletter 3 days ago. So it comes out like within a 1 week span of a month, but I'm gonna get better, I promise. But for sure, once it comes to your inbox, you have a couple of weeks most times to download all the freebies. Actually, if you sign up now for July, I'm planning a beach reads edition.
Ooh,
So
perfect
that will be
timing.
really, yeah. So sign up now for sure. Go to my Instagram, click the link, sign up for Muse by Callie Browning. It's right there. So and I mean, I think there are like 30 something freebies, beach read freebies in there. So yeah, sign up now and you'll get it in the next mail out.
I love that. I love newsletters that have a lot of value in them.
Yeah.
and just like kind of bring different topics to the table, because that's what's interesting for me to read, and that you've done all the legwork for us as a reader. That's awesome. So
Yeah.
they can go to your Instagram,
Yeah.
Asian Callie,
BAJN. Yeah.
and I will link that below so that everybody can go visit you on Instagram, say hi, see all the fun stuff that we're talking about. And if
Yes.
they wanted to get their hands on a copy of The Girl with the Hazel Eyes, where are the best places to get it online?
Well, it's exclusively available on Amazon, and it's available both in Kindle and paperback and Kindle Unlimited, so you can read it for free once you have Kindle Unlimited.
So other than Instagram, and we know about your Muse newsletter, where other places can readers connect with you, or is Instagram the best place?
Instagram is a great place. So is Twitter, Facebook as well. On Twitter, I'm kind of more of a, I don't know, like a tree shaking activist, though. I don't know.
I'll
Yeah,
have to
so
go read your Twitter feed. And I'll link that below too, in case, because I know lots of people are either, team Twitter or team Instagram, or it's a little bit different on both, right? So I'll make sure I'll have that link for our readers below.
I find that when I'm on Twitter, like, I don't know, the issues, and there's so much stuff in my Twitter feed. I'm like, yeah, so and so and so and so. So I comment a lot on issues more on Twitter. On Instagram, it's more about pretty pictures and the community book love and that type of thing. But yeah, you see a different side of me on Twitter.
Ooh, okay then. I will have to go and check that out. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. I will make sure to link all your socials below so readers can connect with you. And please, readers, go pick up The Girl with the Hazel Eyes. Come back here so we can chat about it. And thank you, Callie, so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. I loved it.
Well, we'll look forward to your next one. And I actually, if you can, please post a picture of your pancakes on Instagram, because I'm excited to see the pancake stacks. All right. Take care.
Okay, no problem. You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
I hope you enjoyed that interview with Callie Browning. Wherever you are, I hope you're having a great day. And as always, I wish you happy reads. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.